Welcome to today's deep dive. Today we're discussing the detailed market activity and key trends for Plymouth, MA, that's zip code 02360 for November 2025. You sent us this huge stack of real estate data, and our job today is to, cut through the noise. We want to decode what really happened in Plymouth last month and what it means for you if you're thinking about making a move.
It was a lot to go through, but the main takeaway is really clear. Plymouth is, without a doubt, a seller's market, aggressively so. And when you look at the big picture, it all really comes down to two things: a really high median sold price and just incredibly tight inventory.
Okay, let's jump right into that price. The median sold price was $695,000. And this wasn't just a small bump. The data shows it shot up 6.11% in just 1 month, from October to November. I mean, you hope for 6% in a year, not 30 days. What causes that kind of explosion?
Well, a spike like that tells you two things are happening at once. First, you have just this overwhelming buyer demand. It's immediate. But second, and this is maybe more important, it tells you about the mix of homes that actually sold in November. It suggests higher value homes were moving and moving fast.
And when buyers are moving that fast, they're competing. We see it right here in the sold to list price percentage. It's at 99.8%. So for a buyer out there right now, what does 99.8% actually mean when you're writing an offer?
It means negotiation is basically off the table. You're paying sticker price. It's that simple. On average, sellers are getting almost every single penny they ask for. And what's really telling is that number is actually up from last month. So competition isn't just strong, it's getting stronger.
So forget about asking for big repairs or trying to get a deal.
Exactly. You need to come in with a clean, strong offer, probably at or even above asking, with as few contingencies as possible.
That pressure cooker environment you mentioned really connects to the speed of the market, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. We look at a metric called median days in RPR. RPR is the realtor's property resource, and it basically tracks how long a home is on the market before it goes under contract. For Plymouth in November, it was just 16 days.
16.
16 days. That number alone tells you it's a seller's market. It means you go to an open house on a weekend, and you better have your best offer in by Tuesday, or you've missed it.
And did we see that speed change at all in November? I see the number is actually up about 11% month over month, from 14 days to 16. Is that the market cooling off?
That's a great question. You see that and think, oh, a slowdown. But moving from 14 to 16 days is still incredibly fast. It's not a real shift in the market's foundation. It's more than likely just seasonal. We're heading into the holidays, a few buyers hit pause. It's not a sign that things are getting easier. The market is still a full-on sprint.
Right. So we have the speed, but what's fueling it is the supply side, the inventory. The data shows 2.38 months of inventory. That is razor thin.
That is the textbook definition of a seller's market. A healthy, balanced market should have 4 to 6 months of inventory. We're not even close.
And even though inventory is up a tiny bit, about 6.3%.
It's something, but it's not a game changer. Not yet. We would need to see that number double, maybe even triple, to really feel a shift toward a balanced market. Buyers should not get a false sense of security from that small increase.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. That $695,000 price tag feels high now, but we need to put it in historical context to really understand the pressure buyers are under.
And for homeowners, the returns have been incredible. Just in the last 12 months, the median sold price is up over 10.5%.
Wow.
But get this, over the last 3 years, it's a massive 36.27% jump, from $510,000 to almost $700,000 in just 36 months.
That explains why sellers are so confident and why it's so tough for new buyers to get in.
It really does.
And speaking of pricing, let's look at the valuations. The median estimated property value is a little lower at $672,590.
And that small gap, it says so much. It tells you the market is actually outperforming the computer models. Buyers in their competition are pushing prices beyond what the algorithms think the homes are worth. They're paying a premium just to win.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little confusing. We have sold prices going up, but the median list price, what sellers were initially asking, actually went down short term. It's down over 6% for the month. How does that work?
That is the puzzle of the November market, right? And it's all about seller behavior versus what actually sells. That drop in the list price suggests that sellers in, say, September or October were a little too ambitious. They were overreaching.
So they had to cut their prices to get back to reality.
Exactly. They had to adjust. But, and this is the key, the homes that did sell, the ones that make up that rising median sold price, were the perfectly priced, highly desirable ones that sold right away. So you have two things happening. Overpriced listings are getting corrected downward, while the best properties are selling for top dollar, pushing the final sale numbers up. It shows buyers are smart, even in a hot market.
The market is fast, but it's not blind. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So let's get granular and look at where the money was actually moving. Out of 57 closed sales in November, where was the real sweet spot?
The engine is really humming in that upper middle tier. The busiest price range was between $700,000 and about $800,000. That's where we saw 12 sales. Right behind that were the $500,000 and $600,000 brackets. So really, that whole corridor from $500K to $800K is where the demand is just intense.
And what about the luxury market? Plymouth has a strong high-end segment. Did the million-dollar-plus homes move as aggressively?
Oh yeah, the high end was very active. We saw 4 homes close between 1 and 1.5 million. There was another sale around 1.6 million, and the top sale of the month was a luxury property that closed at 3.4 million. So there is serious depth to this market.
But did those luxury buyers have any more room to negotiate? I mean, compared to the mid-range buyers paying 99.8% of asking.
They did, actually, and that's the interesting nuance. For those million-dollar-plus homes, the list-to-sold percentage was closer to 95%. It suggests that while the $700,000 market is a feeding frenzy, the luxury buyer has just a little more leverage, a little more breathing room.
Okay, let's pivot from what's sold to what's coming on the market now. Looking at the new listings, it seems like the price point is jumping significantly. The median listing price for new inventory is $855,111.
And that's a huge deal. This might be the most important takeaway for our buyer right now. If what just sold had a median of $695,000, but what's new has a median over $850,000, it tells you the replacement inventory is, on average, much more expensive.
Yeah, we see examples here like a new listing on Kestrel Heights for over $1.1 million, another on Briarwood for almost $2 million. So buyers looking in that old sweet spot, that $500,000 to $700,000 range, are going to have fewer new choices.
Exactly, and that's just going to intensify the competition for the homes that do pop up in that range. It's going to keep pushing the overall market median higher in the months to come.
Before we wrap, we should touch on distressed activity. It's something investors and bargain hunters are always watching.
Right, and even in a market this hot, we saw 10 properties flagged as distressed, so a foreclosure notice or something similar. And here's the key detail. The median estimated value for those properties was $583,520. That's way below the overall market.
Why is such a big difference?
Well, typically these are properties that need work, they haven't been updated, maybe haven't been maintained, so while 10 is a small number, it's a little niche for buyers who are willing to take on a project to get in below the average market price.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. Okay, so let's boil all this down. Given the high prices, the incredible speed, what is the single most important takeaway for someone looking to act in Plymouth right now?
I think the key is this idea of duality. On one hand, yes, it is an incredibly strong, fast-moving seller's market. But on the other hand, that puzzle we talked about with list prices correcting down while sold prices go up tells us something important. It tells sellers they still have to be realistic with their initial price. And it tells buyers that while you have to be fast, you have to be smart. Your offer needs to be based on real, hard data, not just the seller's initial asking price. That's how you.
That's a perfect synthesis, a great roadmap for anyone trying to navigate this market. If you have any questions about today's deep dive, or if you are thinking about buying or selling a house anywhere on Boston's South Shore from Sally to Sagamore, give Jim Aldred a call. He would love to help you. You can reach Jim directly on his mobile. That's 339-987-0382. You can also email him at jimaldredrealtor@yahoo.com or check out his website, www.kwmass.com. Thanks for listening and see you next time on the Pink Door Podcast.